We're back.
Okay, let me check something. Somebody who was getting on had sent a message. Okay.
I lost you for a second, so I
Oh, okay. I was just saying, I went in to check a message because someone had clicked the link to join, and he sent me a screenshot saying that it's saying that the video was private and it wouldn't let him on for some reason. So,
yeah, I also received some screenshots about that. I think it's because we caught it, so probably we need to. I'm going to send you again the link, so we have it like the new one, and we're here.
okay.
You have it.
Yes. So I'm going to send that link.
Yeah, because I think it's a different link now from the original one because it didn't allow me to stream again from the same one. This is complicated. It's sorry for the people who's going to watch this. We are understanding how this works. Hello?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I was sharing the link. I was just going to share it one time. So, yeah. Okay.
Don't worry. But I lost you for a second. It's kind of freezing. I don't know if my connection is not good today or
No, I
yesterday
can
doesn't.
hear you. I can hear you just fine. It could be on my end.
Okay, perfect. So, are you ready? Let's start again.
Yes, let's try this again. Sorry about that, you guys. Because I know we had a couple of people that were on here waiting. Um, just trying to get my. But today, yes. So our topic today, um, we're going to be speaking again a little bit about what goes into the home buying process, and it's going to be referring to what we call a trust in the states, but here it's called a fideicomiso. I can always mess it up.
Fideicomiso.
Fideicomiso. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that because that's something that is necessary and it is needed when purchasing a home here as a foreigner. So as a foreigner, if you there's something that's called a restricted zone. So in a restricted zone, it's about 31 miles from the coastline and about 62 miles from like the international boundaries. And this is something will need if you are looking to buy a home here in Mexico. Um, and it's kind of a good thing because it's one of those things where it's just like a trust in the states. It reminds me a lot of a trust, so you can still it allows for foreigners to purchase property, which is what I love because they could make it to where we couldn't purchase this property. So I'm very happy that they did this, and I'm very happy that it is a in a trust because it makes it a little bit more, I think, protected, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, you're completely right. This situation about the fideicomiso comes from the revolution era here in Mexico, which started in 1910, something like that. It was an intention for protecting, of course, the coastline and the borders from invasions or interventions from foreigner countries. You know, the early 20th century was like so politically unstable that everybody was, like paranoid. So this situation started around that time, and when political times began to be more stable, the foreign investment started to look to Mexico for and wanting to purchase stuff, but there was like no way for purchasing for foreigners. And by the 70s, the Mexican government decided to um, find a way for allowing non-Mexican citizens to purchase in this area, and then the fideicomiso came to the light. So this is more or less a little of history background. I mean, for those who know me, you know that I'm a history nerd. I'm a history enthusiast, and there's always going to be some useless information about historic background, but it's always good to know where this situation come from. So this is a little bit of the background. So maybe it's a little boring, but it's good for let people to get connected and to be with us. So let's
Right.
start with the technicalities.
Yes, I mean I like it because I think about had other countries done the same thing, then a lot of their land would not be completely to where no one else could purchase the land, and a lot of the land wouldn't have been completely taken over by foreigners to where the people of that land could not own any property in that land. So I think that it was just for protection of the people of Mexico, so that they could also go ahead and purchase, so they can also keep their land sacred, keep it how they want it to be, and for it to remain cultivated in their culture. So in the Mexican culture, they didn't want it to be taken over completely by foreigners. So I mean, I think that's a good thing personally, that they did make it this way. So okay, so we can get right into it. So basically, what you can do if you are interested in purchasing property and you are a foreigner, you can do it three different ways. You can do it as an individual, you can do it through a foreign corporation, or you can do it through a Mexican corporation. And we'll kind of dive into a little bit of each of these so that you can see like what the differences are and things of that nature. Okay. So again, it is the restricted zone is basically where Karina and I do sell property. So Katuna Roo, Yucatan Peninsula, these areas are all part of the restricted zone. Correct?
That is correct.
If I'm wrong, okay. so so we'll go ahead and start with the first step, which we're going to go over if you're doing it as an individual. And you'll see me maybe read a little bit of it, and then we'll go over it with you guys, okay? So basically, what's going to happen is with the steps, you're going to, of course, find the home. Karina and I will guide you through the home searching process. And once we narrow it down and you choose the home that you like, you'll go ahead and put in an offer for that. The offer is accepted, we can go ahead and move forward with the process. After that, after we've selected your home, there is the due diligence process. And during the due diligence process, it's just making sure that the home is in good standing, making sure that the home is meeting certain expectations for you. You know, the inspections, just to make sure that the property is in a good legal condition and that it fits your requirements. Okay. Um, Once we know that, hey, the property is good to go, then we can go ahead from there and enter into a contract with the seller. All right.
That's
Okay.
correct. Mhm.
So the next step is we have to select a bank because I'll let you talk a little bit about this because you can't just choose any bank in Mexico, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Recently, there's a growing offer of banks allowing you to establish a bank trust for owning a property. One thing that's important to mention is that most of the cities we are working currently in, which is all the cities around, all the main cities around the peninsula de Yucatan, are going to be within the restricted zone. In Yucatan, there are some places where you can purchase a ranch, let's say, or an hacienda, and they are going to be out of the restricted area. So you're not going to be needing to get a fideicomiso, and we will talk about that process for purchasing without the fideicomiso, maybe in another episode or something like that. But in most of the more desirable destinations in Mexico, which are the coastlines, we're going to need the fideicomiso. So the question about the bank, not every bank can offer you a fideicomiso. So currently there are about 5 or 6 banks that are working, establishing, well, working as the managers of the fideicomiso actually. So the bank that we recommend the most and the one we work with the most is Banco del Bajío, which is like the fastest, well, not the fastest exactly, but the less expensive one. There's also banks like Monex, Intercam, Banco Inmobiliario Mexicano, also Bancomer, which is called now BBVA, and which one? I think that's all. Those are all of the banks that are currently offering the possibility for you to establish a fideicomiso. Of course, this information is constantly changing, and we recommend you to get close to experts or to us better to see which banks are currently offering to establish fideicomisos. Although there are certain fees that are the same with any bank because it's related to taxes, there are some fiduciary fees from the bank that are going to vary. So that's important to keep in mind and to ask before establishing the fideicomiso with any bank. And as a buyer, you are the one to choose which bank you want, but listen to your attorney or to your realtor so they can recommend you which is the best option for you. But no, not every single bank can offer you to establish a fideicomiso.
Okay, great, great. Yeah, that's a good point. I think I actually had a client one time back when I first got to Mexico, and she thought that she could choose any bank. And so she kind of had an idea of what bank she wanted, but then we had to let her know like there are really only a certain amount of banks can actually choose from. So you guys keep that in mind. And of course, we would let you know. We would do our advising on which banks we think you should use. But at the same time, it is completely your choice. And, it's always good to do research as well. So once we've chosen the bank, we would go ahead and gather all of the required documents. So this is just things like your passport, and we just found out today that it's. I think you do need two forms of ID. You can't just use just like your driver's license. So it would probably be your passport. Um, your proof of income, your address, and then if we need any other paperwork, we will ask you for that as well. The differences that I have noticed about the paperwork process here versus the paperwork process in the US, for example, in the US, you're going to need a whole lot more to qualify you to purchase a property. Like here in Mexico, it's the documentation is so much simpler. Like you just don't need so much, like you're not going to need a year's worth of necessarily. Okay. You may not necessarily need like 2 years worth of bank statements, or you may not necessarily need certain tax returns and things of that nature. So I just noticed that, it was just a little bit less, I guess, strenuous on us when it comes to the documents, but we will need certain paperwork from you. And we're also going to need, it says, property such as the title, the proof of property, tax, etc. So when it comes to needing the title and the proof of property tax, so how would they go about getting that information?
Can you repeat it again, please?
So it says that in our steps that we have that is necessary for as far as the documentation, we're going to need the title, the proof of the property tax, etc. So
Yeah,
it's
that's some information that we need to gather from the seller of or from the listing agent. Uh, there's one little mistake. The proof of income is not required. It's proof of address. So sometimes what most foreigners do is to deliver the driver's license as a proof of address. So consider to deliver two IDs. Passport is a must. There was someone recently trying to start the fideicomiso process with another official ID, but it's not going to be valid. So the only valid ID we are going to use for establishing the fideicomiso is going to be the passport. But we will also need another identification. Also, the proof of income is not necessary; only the proof of address. But yes, the requirements are like super, super low. I mean, we don't need a lot of information for you to be able to purchase a property here. It's just like super.
I was like,
So
so yeah, I was like, wow, you don't need half of the paperwork that you would typically need, like in the States. You just need a whole book. You need, your tax returns. You need like your bank statements, like check stubs. Like it's just a long process, like a long list of stuff that you need. So that's what I love about purchasing the property here. It's just it makes it seem so easy. Like coming from where I came from, it just seems so much easier.
yeah, I always say in Mexico, everything is possible for good and for not so good. I would like to make a parenthesis in here because there's a frequent misbelief in the situation about the fideicomiso because since there's a bank involved in this situation, a lot of people think that it's a loan or something like that. So first of all, we need to clarify that the fideicomiso is a three parties agreement where it's basically made for warranting the owner of the property to comply their fiscal situation. So um, the rights or the possession or the ownership in the property is compounded by two parts in Mexico. One is the possession of the property, and the other one is the domain. So the fideicomiso is going to grant the foreigner the allowance for using and enjoying the property without the direct ownership. So that's why it has to be done through a bank. There is an actual bank involved, but the bank is not lending any money. So that's why we don't need like that much information or that much paperwork for you to be able to purchase a property, because you don't need to prove an income, or you don't need to prove your taxes or anything, because they are not going to lend you any money. They're going to work only as a administrator of the property that you're purchasing. So they're going to be like an intermediary between you and the property for you to own it and use it. You can sell it, you can rent it, you can use it yourself, you can do whatever you want. It's just a legal formality. But yeah, that's why the documents required are like super super uh, how do you say it, like not so many.
Yeah, yeah. It's not as many documents. So okay. Thank you for explaining that because that makes perfect sense.
Anyway, if there's something I'm saying that is not like completely understandable, because I mean it's obviously not my language, just feel free to ask to go back, and we'll try to find different words for explaining it and making it more clear.
Yes. So yes, you guys. So if you have questions, just feel free to drop them down in the chat, and we'll answer your questions for you. If there was something you didn't understand, or you just have a basic question for us. Okay. So now that we have gotten, the paperwork process out of the way, you've submitted your ID and all that good stuff. At this point, we are going to have to get ready for the notary, if that's correct. So we've already. I'm so sorry, you guys. I
we
had
skipped we skipped one step.
yes. So we have to request the permit from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So yes, sorry about that, guys. I actually skipped the step. So this permit is required for foreign individuals or entities to acquire real estate in the restricted zone. The bank you've chosen to establish and manage your trust will submit your application to the SRE, which is the same as the Military of Foreign Affairs, and wait approval. At this stage, you'll also need to make sure that your first payment is sent directly for the Fideicomiso. So that's that, So also, as of this year, sorry about that, guys, my phone. So as of this year, taxes, because they have to go ahead and pay taxes at this step. Is that correct? Pay the taxes on it.
Yeah, that's correct. In this step, you don't have to worry about doing the paperwork or anything, because if you hire an attorney, they're going to do it. If you didn't hire an attorney, your realtor can help you with that. But everything is going to be made through the bank you've selected. So all these documents have to be sent to the bank, to the representative of the bank, and the bank is going to be the one in charge for requesting the permit to the Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So once they've gathered all the information from both of the parties, from seller and buyer, then the bank is going to take it to the government and then request the permit. In a matter of 2-3 weeks, we're going to have this permit. So before they are sending, this is an important step. Before the bank is sending the whole file to the government, they are going to send you a draft. It's very, very important for you to read it carefully and to confirm all the information written in it, both your personal information and the properties information. Because if the permit is issued with something that's wrong, it is possible to correct it, but it's going to take time and it's going to cost extra money. So at this step, when before the file is being sent by the bank to the government for requesting the permit, you have to pay to do the first payment. Yoo-hoo! So this year is about 20,000 pesos, a little less than 20,000 pesos, which is currently about $1,200, something like that.
Mhm.
So In this step is when you are going to make your first tax payment. This is a once in a lifetime payment. You're not going to pay for that anytime ever again because this is the request of the permit. But there's some payment that you're going to have to do like in time, and we're going to talk about them later. But this is your very, very, very first payment.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So
mhm.
this first payment, and like she said, it's about 1,200 USD for the taxes. And guys, from the US, I mean, that's that price is that amount is ridiculously low almost. It's almost unbelievable that it's that low compared to what we pay on like for taxes in the US. So that's awesome. Like you save so much money just on taxes alone. So that's great to hear. So yeah, you guys, you're gonna save a lot of money when you purchase here. So just keep that in mind. Um,
We have a question here. The other day we skipped some questions because I really didn't know how to see the live chat. But Gigi is asking us, how long does this process typically, hold on, take from that moment I know that house is the one? So if you mean how long it's going to take between you've chosen the house and started the process, it will depend on the speed of your realtor and attorney. The drafting of the promissory agreement may take 2 weeks. It depends on the speed. I mean, this is not a process that has like certain amount of time, but let's say that's going to take 2 weeks. So this process of the fideicomiso, it is very recommended to start it only once the promissory agreement has been signed by both parties. If you haven't signed anything with the seller, don't start the process because there's no warranty for you to purchase that property. You don't know if the seller is going to sell it to someone else. So if you don't have any certainty about the property being sold to you, don't start the process. Even if it's going to delay the closing date, wait until you have the promissory agreement signed by both parties. And when you have put your down payment, then you can start with the process. So let's say that's going to start to take about 2 weeks from the moment you've selected your dream home to the moment when you start with the process for the fideicomiso. So sorry, I hope this answers the question.
yes. Thank you so much.
So after that, now it's on the notary side.
Yes. So now, after we've done that, once the permit has been issued, the notary will prepare the draft of your trust agreement, and this document outlines the terms and conditions of the trust, including the rights and responsibilities of the parties involved. And this process can take a week's time. So just keep that in mind when it comes to what the notary actually has to do. And then here on our next step, the draft of the fideicomiso has to be approved by the bank. They'll review the document to ensure that it complies with the legal requirements and aligns with their internal processes and policies. And then from there, they'll let us know and give us a okay. We're good to go. All right. So
Yeah, the
yeah,
banks. Oh,
no, go ahead.
oh, thank you. So the banks usually take about 3 days. Some banks take up to 2 weeks for approving the drafting. It's important to consider that the banks have already their draft or their model of the contract, and most of the time it's not negotiable. So what's written in there is going to be stated in there in your definitive contract. Of course, the things that are going to be modified are the specificalities. I don't know if that's a word. Of the transaction, of course, your personal information, the information of the house, information of the seller, whatever, the price. But the model of the contract is going to be more or less the same for every single bank, and those clauses are mostly non-negotiables. It's nothing in your prejudice, no, not prejudice, and your, I mean, it's nothing harmful for you. But yeah, we've had some clients trying to negotiate certain clauses, especially the sellers. And it's like, no, this is not possible. This is what it is, and we have to attach on or to stick to those clauses.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes. Yes, that's very, very good to know. So, all righty. So it'll be approved. We're going to say yes, the fideicomiso is approved and we are ready to sign. So Yay, we get to choose the go into the closing date of the property. And at this point, there are some more fees that have to be paid. Correct, Karina. So there's still a few more things to do when it comes to paperwork, but then there are also a few more things that we have to pay at this time. So you'll be required to pay the first year fee, which typically is approximately about 500 US dollars. And then we also have to pay the fiduciary fee, which is about 500 US dollars as well. And we'll go over the trust, we'll go over the process, we'll go over all of the expenses at this point, and any extra like fees or anything or costs that they need to that you need to know about upon purchasing the home. So all of that is what we're doing at this step. Did you want to talk a little bit about this stage, or is that about sum it up?
And only that it's important to consider that this is besides the closing expenses. Most of the time when we deliver a quote of closing expenses, we specify that the fideicomiso is a part, or some notarios offer you the complete quote for you to have an idea. But yes, it's important to consider that this is not in the regular closing expenses. So if you get a quote from, I don't know, for purchasing as a Mexican, you will have to add this about $2,500 in the end. It's a once in a lifetime payment. The fideicomiso is going to last about 50 years, and then you're not going to have to be paying this 2,500 every year or every time you do something. So it's the most expensive part is only once.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, I love the like once in a lifetime fees. It's like, yeah, and they're relatively low. So, they make it to where it's not just like out of this world crazy amounts of money. Like, I mean, it's not that bad. If it's around 500 USD, like that's really not that bad. So, it's actually great compared to what we pay over in the States. So, I do love that. And I do love the fact that with a trust, you're also protected as an individual. So, since you're buying this as an individual, let's say you get married and then there's a divorce, and with it being in the name of the trust, then that protects your property from being taken away. Like, let's just say a divorce did happen, right? So yeah, so you don't have to worry about, okay, am I gonna have to give up my house to my ex? Like, you don't have to worry about that. You're actually protected. So
Yeah, exactly. Also, it will prevent you for being, I don't know how to say it in English, but when I don't know, you have some debts and then the bank is going to come after you and take your possessions. So
yeah.
that's protected because as again, you don't have the direct ownership, so they cannot take it away. Another advantage I find very interesting in the fideicomiso is that you don't need a will. So once you establish your fideicomiso in the very first time, you designate a substitute trustee. So let's say I'm purchasing a home through the fideicomiso, and I'm going to designate my 6 children as substitute trustees. So once I'm gone, they are going to get exactly the portion of the property I've indicated in the very beginning. So they are not going to be fighting over a property or waiting for a testament to be executed. It can be done from the moment you're purchasing the property. So I think that's a very interesting feature of the fideicomiso figure.
Yes, I mean it's so much better. It's so much better to have it done this way. I mean, it's completely protected, and I think the word that you were looking for is collateral. Like your home can't be taken as used as collateral if you owe debt for like anything. So I do love that about the trust as well. So overall, I think it's the best. I think it's the best way to go. So. Um, but after that, I mean, after we've done all of these things and you paid those fees, that's pretty much it. I mean, you are now, congratulations, a homeowner. The notary will register the fideicomiso with the public registry of property, and they'll finalize like any of the final documents or paperwork. You'll receive a copy as proof of your ownership. And then within a couple of weeks, the bank will also sign the document so that you can have a certified copy as well. And then after a few months, it can take maybe around 6 months. You can actually have the original document. So yeah. And also, it's important to note that the timeline will vary depending on various factors and administrative processes. So we say, for all of this, we may say 6 months, but just know that it can vary. So keep that in mind. But the most important thing is that you are now a homeowner. So yay! Now it's time to celebrate. And I think that they need to know that we want to be invited over for the celebration, right? That's mandatory.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because otherwise, our ghost is going to be haunting their homes forever. So they don't want that.
Yeah, y'all, you don't want that. Y'all don't want our ghosts to come haunt you in your homes because you didn't invite us over for like the home warming celebration or anything. You didn't invite us over for food, a cookout. You didn't invite us for drinks or anything. Like, come on, like we need to be invited. That's what we want. We want to come over and eat.
It's part of the process. The the ownership is not fully executed if you don't invite your agent to the housewarming party.
Exactly. Don't forget about. So yeah,
So
yeah.
this process it's going to take in regular circumstances between 4 and 6 weeks. So consider always about 2 months for closing. It will depend on several factors like the construction, like delivery dates, like the legal status of the property. There's like a ton of factors that may impact on the time that's going to last to take for getting the fideicomiso established. But on the regular circumstances, it's going to be about 6 weeks. So be patient. It's not like super fast, but it doesn't take forever. So it's about a month and a half.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So about a month and a half. I mean, there could be delays here and there, bank transfers. Sometimes you just never know what could happen. But those normally, in the U.S., the bank transfers would go through pretty quickly. Even when I worked in banking and I would do transfers for home purchases, there they would go through rather quickly. So yeah. But given that everything is running kind of smoothly, you do want to allow for at least a month and a half when it comes to that. So all right, so that's pretty much the process for that. Excuse me. Now, we also mentioned in the beginning of the live that you can also purchase through like your business. So we want to talk about a little bit about the differences. I mean, the process for the most part, I think is the same, right, Karina? But it's just that maybe different paperwork is required.
Yeah, the legal process is not going to vary because it's basically the same, but the paperwork is completely different because if you're going to purchase through an LLC, a foreign corporation, we are going to need a lot of documents. And due to the money laundering legislation here in Mexico, which is constantly updated, there's going to be constant updates and modifications to the requirements. So right now we are being requested with a lot of information from all the shareholders in the LLC that is intending to purchase a property. So it's a it may even take a bit longer because you're going to need to translate the how do you call it the bylaws of the LLC. All the information you or all the legal information of your LLC is going to be needed to be translated into Spanish and with the apostille. So that may take an extra time. So if you're considering purchasing a property here in Mexico through your existing LLC, start translating and start getting the apostilles and check that everything is like in good legal shape. So you can send all the information whenever is required and we don't have any delays for the paperwork for getting your fideicomiso established.
Okay, yes. And yeah, so just keep that in mind. I know there are a lot of advantages in the US for getting things like property and maybe sometimes even vehicles. There are a lot of advantages versus doing it individually. There are a lot of tax breaks and things of that nature. So I love that you can also do that here for those of you who do have businesses in other countries and you're looking to come here, just know that if you want to put it in the name of your corporation, then you could definitely do that as well. Now, if you have a Mexican corporation, then you can also do this as well, of course. And you also have tax benefits as well. So there are some tax advantages that I was reading about as well. So I do like that. So for those of you who are watching and you are, let's say you are already in Mexico and you're thinking about opening a business, I do know that I run into a few people who are interested in actually opening up a few businesses here because they talked to me about actually finding maybe some commercial spaces for them and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's something that maybe we can talk about like on another episode, just the advantages of owning a Mexican corporation and having your business and having that the land in the name of the Mexican corporation as well. So
Yeah, yeah. It's a whole topic. I think this is very controversial because there's a lot of people that's constantly suggesting to buyers to purchase or to establish a Mexican corporation for purchasing a property and avoiding the fideicomiso, which is technically true, but it's not going to be any faster and it's not going to have like a ton of advantages. It's only going to give you an extra fiscal load. So I recommend this option for those who are aiming to purchase more than one property because then it's going to be easier. But if you're going to purchase only one property and it's going to be your home or your investment property or whatever, but it's going to be only one, then don't go through the whole process because establishing a corporation is going to take a while. So, first of all, you need to create a name, registering in the international situation for preventing that there's like a duplicity of names and sounds and everything. So it's going to take a while and it's going to cost you extra money. So if you're going to do this for saving the money you are going to spend for not establishing the fideicomiso, you're going to spend more or less the same money with the creation of the Mexican corporation. So it's not worth it.
yeah,
Plus, we'll have to be constantly doing use these tax declarations because, well, you have a lot of fiscal responsibilities as a corporation. So this is the option we recommend only for those who are aiming to purchase more than one property. Maybe not in the same time, but maybe in the near future. So that's a good option for you not to be establishing a fideicomiso every time you're purchasing a property. You just all add it to the assets, and that's all. So that's the situation where establishing a Mexican corporation can be the good idea. But if you're purchasing only one, then go through the traditional way and establish a fideicomiso. Plus, since there's going to be an inclusion of foreigners, I mean, if at least one shareholder is non-Mexican, then the notario has the obligation to issue a notice. It's called a viso that there's some foreigner capital being invested in the restricted zone. So it's not like you're going to be like under the table or you're going to be out of sight. No, it's not like super worth it. Just consider all the options you have. If you already have a Mexican corporation, then that's another story. But if you're considering on creating the Mexican corporation for purchasing something, it's not worth it. Just go through the rate to the through the traditional way.
I love it. Thank you so much for that information. Yes, that's really good to know. That's really good to know because I did have a few people who reached out to me about that. So now you guys know, and you guys have your answer when it comes to that. So yeah, I think that about sums it up. Did you guys have any questions? Anybody in the chat? Or if not, we'll go ahead and give you our information. You guys can follow me on here on YouTube. I am Kiafa, Keyaffa. And then you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook, Quarters by Kiafa. So make sure that you look out for more content I've been creating. So I plan on posting a lot because I've been here and Karina and I have gone and we have like toured so many homes and done so many showings and I still have a lot of uploading to do. Especially clients that I've had so far and they're just like, when are you gonna post me? I'm like, just give me a little bit more time. I got you. So
It's a lot to process.
it's a lot. So I do have more content coming soon. So that's where you guys can find me. So Karina,
Oh, well, you can follow us in housebuy.mx in almost every single platform. I mean, if there's something new, well, probably you are not going to find us there, but in the traditional ones like Twitter, well, it's not Twitter anymore. X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere you can find us like House by the MX. You can find me also in my Facebook fan page, which is Karina Gala, Real Estate Advisor. Yeah, I don't have a personal TikTok, but you can find a lot of information there, and you can reach us in all our social media. Also, you can visit us at House by the MX, which is our website, and it's our online catalog of properties. Remember that we are buyers representative, and we can help you with anything, every single property you see listed in the market in the Yucatan Peninsula. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a very interesting topic, and it can take forever for talking. But as we said in the beginning, is it's a matter of the specific situations in every purchase. So if you need further information or you want a consultation, if you say that you saw it here in the streaming, then you're going to have a free consultation, especially for you. So just let us know when, and we can book it, and let's start your journey for living the Mexican dream.
Yes, that's right. Oh,
Also, remember that Key is specialist in relocation. So if you're planning to move to Merida, just don't hesitate to contact her. She's
yes.
going to.
Yes, I have all of the apps you need, drivers, if you need like pool person, maintenance people. I know all the people and I help with, if you're trying to become a permanent resident, I have connects for that. I have connections for notaries. I know can give you suggestions for good restaurants, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you guys definitely reach out to me. I'll even meet you at the airport when you get here. So when you get here, I will come and meet you at the airport. If you're hungry, we can go grab a bite to eat, and then we can take you on to your Airbnb or wherever you're staying. So definitely do not hesitate to reach out, you guys. So, and thank you guys. Yes, thank you guys for joining. We will be back next Thursday, probably around the same time. So which I think it is 9 p.m. Eastern time, and it's weird because we're all on different times. Like you're from Atlanta, so a lot of my people watching would be from Atlanta. But now that I'm in Merida, it's that it would have been 7 p.m. my time, and then 8 p.m. Karina's time, which is she's in Cancun. So so yes, but we'll always post the time for you guys.
Yeah, we're going to break it down like 6 p.m. Merida, 7 p.m. Playa del Carmen, 8 p.m. Atlanta. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because it's yeah, funny because I mean myself, and I'm in the EST, in the Eastern Standard Time, but we don't change the time here in Playa
Yeah,
del Carmen.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
are
we were
in.
trying to figure that out. I was like, how are you on Eastern Standard Time, but it's not the same time there as it is in Atlanta? And I was like, I just couldn't figure that out. And then it was like, oh yeah, because of the time change, Mexico here, they don't change the time like we do. We change the time twice a year. We have daylight savings time. So it'll in the spring it goes forward. So we say spring forward. And then the fall it goes back an hour and we just say fall back. So yeah, but here it doesn't do that. So I'm like, so how are we going to let people know? We have three different target time zones here, but yeah, we'll just
we,
have to be specific.
we used to have it before. I think this was the last year that it was changed. I think it was by March. Here in Quintana Roo, it hasn't been changing for a while. I think it's already like 3 or 4 years that hasn't changed. And well, I find it okay. Like you get that, but sometimes it gets complicated with everybody changing the time. Right now we're to stay like
Yeah,
this. Here in Playa del Carmen and the rest of Quintana Roo, we are 1 hour ahead than the rest of the country. So it's part of it. So I mean, even if you didn't catch it like on time, it's going to stay here in YouTube for eternity.
yeah,
So
it'll
you
be here
can get
forever.
rid of it.
Exactly. It'll be here forever.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, you have a good night and we will catch you guys next Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you, Key, and see
Thank
you.
you, Serena. Bye.